Welcome to the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism. We have on high demand Suhail Mathur back in the house. He is, as you know, one of the youngest, one of the most dynamic, and one of the most enterprising literary agents in India today. He is scaling new heights and he is opening doors for so many debutant authors. In fact, one of the benchmarks, one of the pivotal roles that his agency Book Bakers have been performing is to give an opening to the debut books of new young authors, young or old, but new authors. And that's a great platform to start your life of a writer from. We are going to ask him some important questions in this episode about how to face rejections, which authors just have to face. It's an author's part of life. How to skip and hopscotch and jump from the pitfalls that come in your way in order to ensure a high success rate for yourself, and just how to approach him with your magnum opus. So let's have with us the enterprising, the delightful, the energetic, the enthusiastic, the lively Suhail Mathur. And Suhail, like I said, we are living in the pandemic times, in the times when the pandemic is hopefully, on its last heels. And what we realize that is that, we are more than our little, sum total of a working person, a home person. We're much more than that. We are a sum total of all those elements that, come together to make us a one big whole with all our interests, all our hobbies, all our talents. Oprah Winfrey, the lady who I really admire, the media queen of the world, is also a film actress. Now, I'm going to tell my viewers that the person who we have with us here is a man of several facets and many talents as well. One, his witticism is legendary. You have to see him spiel out one quick sort of lip turner, a tongue twister, a really funny, smart comment after another, at the drop of a hat, while we're still trying to think and put our thoughts together. Also, he's a wonderful singer. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to ask Suhail to sing a song for us, really. Suhail, would you please indulge us?
Okay, that comes as a surprise, but not as a surprise now, given the fact that you were a panelist at the Book Bakers Online Fest where I had sung. So okay, great. So let's do something different for now at least. And this is the first time I'm doing it on social media. So Aruna, I was working on a television show which was based on Love Kush, Sons of Lord Ram.
Right.
And we were brainstorming and all those things were happening on the story, and the creative director just told me that it was the first day actually that we had come and we were discussing this, and he said, just wait, I'm going to the washroom, I'll come back in a couple of minutes. And I was sitting there you know waiting for him. What I did actually was that in those 2.5 minutes, difficult to believe but it's the truth, I came up with a title song for that show.
I see.
So I not only got my lyrics, but I also got the tune.
Amazing.
Okay. In 2.5 minutes, I am sure that you will also appreciate it since you write, poetry. So you'll know, I mean, how that happens. And I did not write it down. It was all in my mind.
Amazing.
Because I didn't have anything to write it. I was just sitting, waiting for him. And this guy came and I said, look, I've just created a song. Hear it. He said, this is great, yeah. So why don't you, sing it out to the producer?
Right.
And then I sang it out to the producer, and he said that let's do it. Whenever we do it, we'll take it up. So now, of course, the bane of Indian television is that you don't have title songs coming in. So the show starts immediately after one show ends. But I'll probably still try and maybe sing that out to you. Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, you can clap, but 1 second. Just give me 1 second. My daughter's here, so. So the song goes something like, and obviously pay attention to the lyrics as well as the tune.
Right.
So it was like, निभाते हैं ये हर री यही है इनका काम, माता है इनकी जान की, पिता है श्री राम, माता है इनकी जान की, पिता है श्री राम। डरडंग बाणों से बातें करते हैं ये, डरडंग कदमों से करते गुरु को खुश, डरडंग त्राहिमाम कहते हैं दानव जब चलता इनका धनुष, हृदय है कोमल इनके, है ये उत्तम मनुष्य। डन डन लव कुश लव कुश लव कुश, 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 लव कुश वीरों में वीर है, लव कुश बरसाते तीर है, लव कुश यारों के यार है, लव कुश घातक प्रहार है, लव कुश माँ का अभिमान है, लव कुश गुरुकुल की शान है, लव कुश एक दूसरे पे, लव कुश न्यौछावर जान है। डिंग 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 डिंग। So that was the
Beautiful,
song,
wonderful,
and
wonderful. Truly
thanks.
so. You know, and you did what? It was a cappella rendition. And you made your own music from your mouth. Absolutely amazing. Very talented. Suhail,
So I
incredible.
actually, so what happened was that there was another song that we did eventually. It was another show and with the same producer. So when I sang that out, he was like, तुम यार ये सब भी करते हो? मैंने कहा ये बहुत naturally आता है मुझे. So I'll tell you, what I used to also do was that existing songs that are there
Yes.
in the market,
Yes.
I often like to tweak that
Mhm.
and use the lyrics but create a different tune. Or it has happened that some of my authors may have written something, as piece of poetry or something, and I always try to give it a tune. I may not necessarily tell them that I've done that, but I
Right.
like doing that. I enjoy doing that. So
Such as,
so
can you give
yeah.
us an instant example of a
Oh, it
established
was
song that
long
you
back.
have given a new
The
tune to?
only one that I remember, only one I remember was long back in, I think, 2014 or something. So one
Right.
of our authors, who was a very well-known horror writer in both Hindi and English, Nikhil Upreti. So Nikhil had written something. Of course, I don't remember the song, but I had composed it and sent it out to him as a voice note. I don't think WhatsApp was there at that point of time, but I'd sent it out to him as a song recording, and he absolutely loved it. He said that his wife had also heard it. So yeah, I think if you have creative pursuits, you'll try doing that. But yeah, people don't know too much that I like composing also. Of course, I don't know how to play instruments, but I know how to create a tune and
Correct.
I know how to sing it. So yeah.
Any famous song that you have, given a new tune to? You've tweaked and given a new tune to?
Uh, Difficult to say right now, but I'll tell you what. Maybe not right now, but for some other day.
Okay.
I love doing one thing. So I am a big fan of Himesh Reshamya. Okay.
Right.
So especially the songs he sings himself. So what I usually do is that I just take any song, could be an old song or it could be a new song, and I just turn it into how he would sing it out if he was composing it. And a very funny thing happened. I was going to office, a couple of weeks ago, and new song started on the radio, and I told my colleague who was traveling with me that, यार ये तो ना ऐसा लग रहा है कि अभी हिमेश will start off in his voice and all. And trust me, 2 seconds later, it was a Himesh song only, and both of
Oh
us
God.
started laughing at how one was able to make out with just the music or the instruments
Correct.
that were being used. But maybe yeah. So maybe what we can do is that you can give me a couple of songs and I'll see what we can do. Maybe not right now, but because I don't know how the quality is.
I know.
Or of course, this is a recorded show, so if it doesn't come out well, you can edit it out.
Correct. No, done. That's a deal then. After that fun segment, I'm going to pull you back to something little serious. And and
Hmm.
and I want to ask you for the benefit of all our tribe of authors, what minds and pitfalls should the authors try and avoid, in order to have a higher success rate of getting published? What is it that they should, keep eye out for and be mindful about?
See, nothing really that, I mean, see, the industry these days is fairly fairly safe place. It's upfront. What you really need to be mindful is of the publisher that you are eventually working with.
Right.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of self-publishing houses. Not because nothing against them at all. I mean, they are providing an opportunity to people similarly like the ones who write 1,43 or 3,000 words. Someone has to bring out the book, right? So they're doing that, and they're being compensated for it. So that's okay. That's absolutely fine. But the point is that the author needs to understand the value, because it's not only about bringing your book out in the market. And this has 2 points to it. The first is that if you brought out a book that has been self-published, I may not be reading your book as your relative. Say I'm your relative, and you say that you brought out a book by a publisher who's self-published. Sorry, who's a self-publisher. And my first initial thought process would be, यार अच्छी नहीं हुई होगी किताब, तभी पैसे देके छपानी पड़ी है.
Correct.
या किसी ने ली नहीं होगी. In comparison to say, I say that XYZ, who's a well-known publisher, has taken it up. I may still not read the book, but in my mind, oh, this guy must be writing well because so and so has taken it up. So it's also about the mindset.
That's true.
That you're creating. At the end of the day, these are also any book that you do is a vehicle for social change, or changing mindsets. So what kind of a mindset are you creating for your own self, firstly and foremostly? That needs to be kept in mind. The second part to it is that people in India, with respect to the literary world, are fairly uninformed with respect to who the publishers are. They just know the top three who've been there for 40, 50 years. And anyone beyond that, they don't know. I mean, unfortunately, Westland is now shutting down.
Yes.
But Westland, for the longest possible time, was known as Amish's publisher.
Yes.
So, even after doing so many successful books, they're like, oh, Amish, that's how you tell an author or anyone from, outside the fraternity who Westland is or was now. So the point is that don't be so worried about what others have to say about the publisher. What you need to see is, what is the kind of deal that you're getting? Are you getting a good traditional contract? Is it a publisher who will do their best to bring your book out in a reasonable time frame with good quality and reasonable distribution? If yes, go ahead with them. You don't need to please anyone. The only caveat is that don't go in for self-publishing, because that tarnishes your project even without it getting a fair opportunity. It is not to say that books that have been self-published are bad books, not at all.
No.
But in someone's mind, it has taken shape that, oh, this book is not really worthy of being picked up. That is what I want people to really stop. Secondly, I want authors, and I genuinely feel authors should be a little more grateful to their publishers.
Correct.
I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why people get a shock of their life when a big brand like Westland falls.
Yes.
Because they don't know what's happening on the other side. They feel that no one is ever happy. If someone is doing a book with a young publisher, they'll say that, "Arey yaar, XYZ should have published my book." If an author is getting published by that XYZ publisher, they'll say, "हाँ यार छापी, लेकिन उस वाले author जितना promote नहीं किया." Without getting into names.
Correct.
You can put in the names wherever you feel like. So an author will never be happy. You can do whatever, right? And even if the author promotes it, it doesn't sell. Even then they'll come and say that, oh, it didn't sell. How come it's not sold? At the end of the day, the decision is with the reader, right? So you can do whatever you can up to a level. What you need to appreciate is that there's someone who's betting on you.
Yes.
Who's doing your first book. Vis-a-vis, even if a publisher is a young publisher, they would probably be doing their 50th title.
Correct.
So you can judge who's new and who isn't, right?
Lovely.
And I don't mince words here, and I don't appreciate such kind of theories also floating, which is why when somebody asks me, okay, do you think my book will be taken up by the top 5? I said, who are the top 5? Who are the top 5? I don't know who are the top 5. Are those top 5 the top 5 for your book? One of the publishers that you've mentioned has not brought out a book in the category you've written in for the past 6 years. Is it a top 5 publisher for you? What will you do if you have a publisher? I want a publisher, but a publisher doesn't want you.
Love.
So you need to move on. You have to see who's giving you the best, value for your talent. It's like saying that I will only play for Chennai Super Kings. I'll not play for Rajasthan Royals. But if Rajasthan Royals has bid for you in the auction, you may as well play and perform for them, because they are showing the interest and faith in you, which maybe a Chennai Super Kings may not have shown, or a Mumbai Indians may not have shown.
Correct.
So that mindset needs to change.
That's a very, very strong, stern mirror that you're showing to the authors, and rightly so. And I'm going to quote you, because you've said that in one of our conversations, perhaps, or elsewhere, and I'm going to quote you on that, because all of us want to get published by the top 5, top 7, top 10 publishers. And somebody had a question like that, and you've said the publisher who reposes their trust in your work, picks up your work, agrees to publish you, is the best publisher for you. And that's rightly so, isn't it?
Absolutely. See, there is no harm, Aruna. There's no harm in being aspirational. We are all aspirational. We do want the best, which is why everyone tries. But the point is that when the people who are supposedly the best in the business are inundated and have the luxury to choose, then what they will choose is entirely in their hands, and they'll be very choosy about.
That's right.
What the decisions are going to be. In fact, I'd also like to mention over here, there are young publishers who may ask their authors, even if they don't ask, it's fairly necessary and important, and it. Someone like, I'll go on record and say that we've done so many book covers, and all of them have been well received. But I think the book cover that we did with you, your book cover, has received more than 350 likes till date, which is by far the most any book cover has got when we've posted. And it is predominantly not only because we've done a good cover, because we do good covers for everyone, or try to do good covers for everyone, and we receive appreciation from all corners. It is also because you have been very active. You've not let that thread die down. You've been, bringing it to certain people's notice. That's why the thread is doing well. So it's your baby at the end of the day. You have to also promote it. So
and I must quickly butt in and say that you were a huge creative force behind doing the vignette for my book. And we had also people like an American actress that I mentioned to you, Vicky Winters, just out of the blue, coming onto the page and saying, "Hey, I love that. That's a fantastic book cover." So really, people from different across the world also commenting on it. So thank you. Thank you.
And our very own Jagbu Dada.
Yes, absolutely. That's correct. That's right.
Yeah, he was the first one to message you and say that it's a great cover.
Talking about Mr. Shroff, he sort of we were talking the other day, chatting really, and he sends his hello to the entire family, respects to your entire family, and hello to you. Suhail, so I must sort of convey that to you.
Super. Thank you so much. It's always wonderful to connect with him.
Yes.
I've met him thrice. I met him thrice, and every time it's been a wonderful, very down to earth and genuine person.
Absolutely.
So what I was saying was that what was I saying?
Talking about the cover.
Yeah, so I was saying that that's largely because of your efforts. So the point is that some authors have this mistaken belief that we are having to promote our book because we are working with a particular publisher. But if we were working with that publisher, then it wouldn't have been necessary. What they fail to realize, and I'll go on record and tell, that what a particular publisher is asking you or not asking you or suggesting to you at a nascent stage is a minuscule proportion of what the bigger players in the market will look at, because their print run is 3 times or 5 times the size of what a younger publisher might be bringing out. At least that was the case before the pandemic. Now it's sort of similar.
Right.
But the point is, if I'm bringing out, say, 1,100 books as my first print runner, it's very simple, and the book sells 1,700 copies, the book is a success for me.
Correct.
Because I've gone into 2 prints.
Quite right.
If I've brought out 3,000 copies, the book is an abject failure because I've barely managed to sell half the number of books.
That's right. That's right.
So when those print runs are coming in, the yardstick changes entirely, and it becomes that much more difficult. So what these people should realize is that then you will also have to put in 10 times the effort that you're putting right now, and maybe 10 times the cost, to bring about that effort. A publisher may not be asking you to invest money, but for what you want to do, you will have to invest, right? I mean, if you're doing a session in a store, there will be a charge to it, right? I mean, if you're traveling to a store and you're going pan India, the airlines won't say that, no, we are not going to charge you because, you're promoting a book. They don't, have anything to do with that. So, I mean, let's keep things in perspective.
That's right.
People don't like to do that, partly because they don't know. And, since this is a platform where they will probably get to know and the larger populace will be made aware, I'm using this, platform to make them aware.
But tell me, in the same vein, I wanted to ask, because you've been very candid about it, is it not so that some publishers really do the whole, 9 yards for their authors in terms of marketing, as compared to some other publishers who would leave it to the author to do their own sort of, work on their own strategy? Is that not right? Is that not the reality?
Some publishers may do a little more for their authors, not because, and some may do a little less, not because of the want of doing less. It needs to be understood that all publishers want their book to sell. Right. If a book doesn't sell for an author, it does not make a difference to the author financially, because 99% of authors in the country today have other jobs and are not writing wholly and solely.
Correct.
Right? So it doesn't make a difference to them financially. Yes, it may affect them morally, but not financially. Whereas if a book does not do well, then it affects the publisher financially, because that's the only job that they have.
That's correct.
So people need to understand that. So it's not because there's a lack of want. Sometimes, Aruna, the same strategy works with the papers also, that, if it's XYZ, we will carry an excerpt. If it's a non-fiction, we will carry an excerpt, or we'll give it coverage. Otherwise, send it to us, you will see, and nothing really happens. So again, it's a mindset issue. Thirdly, even the ones who are doing it, why are they doing it? They are doing it because your book had certain parameters which it cleared. Correct. In the first place for them to take it up. So, you need to understand that. You need to understand that if you were to do a book, so for example, I'll take a very recent example.
Yes.
Hindustan Times featured Mr. Alok Lal and Mr. Manas Lal,
yes,
on a podcast. And say, supposing an author feels, and we're all aspirational and ambitious, and that's the way to be, that मेरे साथ क्यों नहीं किया इंटरव्यू? अरे यार, मेरी किताब एक्स पब्लिशर के साथ आती तो ये लोग मेरे साथ भी इंटरव्यू करते. हो सकता है करते. They may do it, but for that you need to write something that XYZ will take up in the first place. This was a non-fiction book. It's a true crime book. The market is great. It's based on his personal experiences. Yes. He's done a successful book earlier, which has got a visual adaptation deal, and that happens. And to be really honest, Aruna, sometimes okay, I'll not get into that. It's okay.
No, it's all right. You be
no. I don't want to, because there might be legal implications.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's
yes.
I'm never anyone who minces my words, because if I feel that it's my opinion that it should come out, not because I want to, really bring that out, but you have called me here to voice my opinion, right? So if I'm not doing that, then I'm not being honest on the show. But anything that can put any party in a little jeopardy, I would like to
absolutely
refrain from that. Right. But the point is that, so I'll give you an example of book launches. So people have this notion that, if it's an XYZ publisher, they will do the book launch. And I'd like to break a myth over here that yes, at one point of time, publishers used to do book launches, but not anymore. All the book launches that happen, or 99% of the book launches that happen in the country, are curated by the authors themselves. Yes, the publisher will give you back-end support. They'll make the books available, but you have to organize it. And why that has happened? Simply because the cost dynamics don't work.
No.
I'll give you a very, very basic example, Aruna. Say if it's a store, and at one point of time, stores used to choose, which book they want to promote and not. Now it's a highly commercialized activity. Everything's become commercialized, and nothing wrong with it. It's at least giving a lot more people the opportunity to reach that forum. So say supposing there's a place and they're charging say 30,000 rupees for a book launch, which is not a very high amount in comparison to say if you were doing something in a hotel, in a 5-star hotel, or in a club, which might cost you much more. And then you'll also have to supplement it with food and drinks. So say supposing you're doing it in a store, it's costing you 30,000 rupees. My question is, and I'm sure this is the reasoning that the publishers also have. How many people are coming to your launch? 40, 50, 60? That's a really good turnout.
Absolutely. That's
30,
right.
40, 50, 60 is a really good turnout because you'll probably have that much seating capacity. Okay. So let's say 50 people come. I'm taking 50 as a number, average. Are all those 50 buying your book? No. Because there are people, out of those 50, there are several people who belong to one particular family.
Yes.
So there could be 4 people who are there, but they are from one family. So they'll only buy one copy of your book.
Correct.
Right.
Quite right.
How many copies do you need to sell? How many copies do you need to sell to basically just break even? 100 copies if your book is priced at 300 rupees. 100 copies. So 50 people have turned up and say 15 copies have been sold. It doesn't make sense commercially.
Absolutely.
It makes sense why authors still want to do book launches, because it's a feel-good factor for them.
Correct.
Friends, family coming, they're the stars of the evening. They're the star of the show. So I understand that, and I tell my authors that it's not a bad thing, but have your goals and fundas very clear. Why do you want to do it? If you're fine with this, go ahead. So which is why a lot of publishers don't do that. Even for celebrity books in the country, if a cricketer or an actor or a politician is launching their book, they share the spoils. The publisher will probably get the venue, the food and drinks are on the celebrity, right? So that is how it is. People will not know it. I've worked with celebrities firsthand, so I know how it works. And again, using this medium to inform people. Now people can be coy about it and say that no, we do everything, or the celebrity did not spend anything here, there. It's not the truth.
True.
I am very frank as a person. I call a spade, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's a book that both parties are involved in, and if they're sharing the cost, great. And they're sharing the cost when it's a celebrity, because what you need to understand is, for a celebrity, other celebrities are also going to come. There's going to be media coverage, so the publisher is fine. Otherwise, even if one of those celebrities was to come for a normal book launch, they'll charge 5 times the cost of what the venue partner is charging.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
So
no, absolutely. Very well pointed out. Suhail, I want the viewers to know, the larger section of viewers to know that, from the time of the inception of Book Bakers Literary Agency, you had decided as a co-founder that you are going to give a break to, newbie authors and really bring the debut books out in the market. So that's a huge service, I think, to people who are bitten by the writing bug and who have aspirations to become authors, because you're giving them a platform, a well-honed, sounded off platform. So what I want to know is that what points must the authors keep in mind before they approach you with their works?
As I said, we've already discussed on what are the things that appeal to me, so that's there. But then, because that's subjective, what they need to do is that whenever they're making a submission, please share the first 2 chapters along with a 1-page synopsis and author bio, and mention the total word count. You can send your submissions at thebookbakers@gmail.com, which is THE the book BAKERS, bookbakers@gmail.com. And if it's good and we see potential in it, we'll definitely take it up. So the point is that what they need to keep in mind is that the proposal that they send out should be in a particular format, should look good. Sometimes, Aruna, what happens is people send the entire proposal on the email body. right? How
Unbelievable.
can you read? How can you read
No.
something that would probably, translate into say 30, 40 pages as first 2, 3 chapters on the male body, on a Gmail body? And it's just very strange, why would you do that? Secondly, and something that, really gets my goat at certain times is that, I am very, very fast or reasonably fast when it comes to responding to emails. I mean, the maximum time that I would probably take would be 3 to 4 days
Yes.
to respond. And that's also because I respond last to first. And I try telling everyone I respond last to first. It does not matter to me who's sent that mail. The yardstick for me is that I will go otherwise. And my dad always keeps on telling me that no, you shouldn't do that, because there are some mails which are more important than the others and they need faster responses. And I hear him and I agree to that as well. But I am a great believer in equality. So the thing is that whoever sent a mail first will get a response first. As simple as that. And what it also does is it helps me to not miss out on emails because I'm going order-wise. Really funny thing, I'll tell you. So, and what really happens is when you're responding to these emails, sometimes people just write, okay, will do. So I said, please call me on so and so day. They'll respond, sure, we'll do that. So it's okay. I can understand that they're responding.
Yeah.
But what that does is that, so one day I was sitting and I started responding to emails in the morning, and I started off with 179. There were 179 pending mails. And Sumedha asked, how many mails are there? She normally asks me, so I said, they're 179. Then the whole day I kept on responding to mails. And in the evening, not even in the evening, late night around 10:30, 11, she asked, now how many are left? I said 187. So true example.
Yeah.
Most of them are like, okay, yes, this, that. And when I reach that mail, then it will be a relief for me. For now, I can see that I have spent the whole day and my work has increased. Instead of 179, now I have 187 unread mails.
Yeah.
The other thing also is that, what I find strange is people will not wait here. I don't know. They'll start WhatsApping or they'll send me a message on Facebook. Hey, I sent you a mail. It's been 2 days, 3 days. Please respond. Sometimes the problem of being a nice guy or the problem of being approachable is that people tend to take you for granted.
Yes.
It's not something that I'm going to change. It's not something I'm going to change.
True.
Because I believe the way I am, I should be, there'll be a few people who will cause an irritation to me. That's okay. But I shouldn't cause irritation to many people. So the thing is, yeah. So the thing is that I wonder that, would these guys be able to do the same thing with a publisher who takes 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to respond to a script?
Correct.
Just because you have access to me and just because you know that I'll respond to you, it's slightly unfair that you do so.
It is. I agree.
But yeah, so those are a couple of things. But again, I don't think mentioning it also over here will help much because in the literary field, as I often say, history obviously and always repeats itself, and nobody learns from anyone else's history till they try to create it on their own.
Lovely, how fantastic. And that's true. Until you are in the throes of it, you're not going to turn over a new leaf. That's very well said. Suhail, as writers, you have to really, we've talked about, spiny steels, steely spines, and, ferrous coated guts. And, really, because it can be a very heart wrenching, back breaking, tear jerking experience, very emotional experience, because, you put your all into the book and suddenly somebody doesn't like your, magnum opus and the bestseller that you have in your mind because it's for the others to react to it. So how should the writers, prepare themselves, equip themselves to face rejection? Because that's something that they're going to experience all the time.
Fortunately, most of them are realistic.
Yes.
some aren't. And again, it's not because
I'm
they'll
just
not
sitting on the frame for a
land
minute
up.
and I'm listening to you.
Sure, sure. So it's not as if they'll not land up a deal, but they have their own lofty ideas with whom they should work with. And when that person doesn't work with them, then they're left in a lurch,
Yes.
entirely of their own doing. But the point is that majority of them know the intricacies of the trade, so it's fine, and they have been seeing how things work.
Yes.
So don't really see too much of a problem over there, Aruna. But you rightly mentioned that one needs to have nerves of steel, and even if you're not Superman, you do need to be a man of steel. Simply because sometimes the unfairness of it all gets to you. You know, and when I say the unfairness of it all, I'll give you a recent example. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm there very much.
Okay, okay. So I'll give you an example. So my dad always says that
Sorry.
हिंदुस्तान में सर्विस की सबसे कम वैल्यू है. I agree with that. You know, what that basically means is that if we are working on it, and I'll give you an example. There was an author of mine, and her book had recently released, and she entered into a promotional activity with an influencer, someone who was promoting books for something that would basically, in terms of time spent, would
I've lost Suhail. No, it's all right. Leave it. We are losing the connection. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've hit on a bad spot, an unfortunate spot today. What can we say? In the pandemic world, we've learned to work with technology. We've learned to at times triumph over it. We've learned to at times exceed defeat. So I have good news and bad news. Bad news first. We had to, because of the technical glitch, as you saw, the interview had to be cut short in between. We lost Suhail. I lost my connection. Getting it back has been a bit of a task. So we're going to end the interview, this episode today. Sooner than we had expected it to. But the good news is, because there are a plethora of questions to ask the bright Suhail, so much more about the literary world, about the world of words, about writers, about the publishing industry at large, and about how to get your books adapted for screen adaptations, and so much more. So we will have him shortly with us soon enough on demand of all the aspiring authors. On my demand, on my request, we will have Suhail back in the house in the chamber of the High Priestess of Hedonism, talking to us about the subject that we so love and like. So for now, it's a goodbye to you all. Stay good, stay safe, stay happy, and do share, like, and subscribe the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism if you like what we're doing. Goodbye. Mm.